Hello, everybody. Welcome to this seventh open lecture on the E.I.N.S project, which is part of the E.I.N.S European Universities Alliances project. And I'm very glad to see so many of you. I'm Diane Andone. I'm coming from the Polytechnical University of Timișoara. My normal job is to be in charge with the digital education of the university, but I'm also quite a lot looking forward and working on the open education and into the international environment dedicated to digital education or to engineering education. I'm very glad to have next to me some three fellow speakers, and I will introduce all of them a tiny bit later. But first of all, please let me say what are the rules of this project and of this webinar, more or less, and I will try to be more precise. So this is a webinar style. You are all the participants able to chat, and you can share with us in the chat from where you are from, example, from which city, which country you are living at this moment, just to know you a tiny bit better. And then you will have the Q&A. You see that also down on your screen, where you are able to ask questions for our speakers. This webinar, being part of the open lecture series, has a different structure than probably other webinars. At the beginning, I will say something about the project. Then we'll have the three speakers doing their presentations, and we will be able to take also questions from the audience between the speakers. And towards the end of the webinar, so in about 1 hour, roughly, we are going to be able to have a test done in Menti, a very simple test, don't worry, on which we will ask everybody to answer, all the participants. So that will be the task for you to validate what you have listened, what you have learned from this webinar, and also to be able to give you the open badge. So before going everywhere else, I will start doing the presentation on the project, if you will allow me. And then I will introduce also the speakers. So I'm going to speak now more or less about the E.I.N.S project, as you can all see. And this E.I.N.S project is quite related to our European University Alliance, and it's funded by the European Union, part of the Higher Education Institute initiative, and it's what we call it the EIT Raw Materials project. What is looking at this project and what it EIT innovation communities are looking in general, they are looking at the leading European initiatives that empower the innovators and entrepreneurs to develop world-class solutions to the major challenges in today's society. And you can see there are several topics in which the EIT is working on, the European Institute for Innovation and Technology. You can also find here the information and the logo, which are coming from E.I.N.S, which, as I said, is the E.I.N.S, the European University Alliance Entrepreneurship and Innovation Network for smart and sustainable European regions. And this project is coming to a close now. This is going to be more or less almost our last event this year and also into this project. But E.I.N.S will have a lot of other different projects, webinars and open lectures and activities to which we are going to be invited quite soon also. The E.I.N.S consortium and the E.I.N.S consortium is led by the Fachhochschule from St. Pölten from Austria. The other partners are the Polytechnical Institute from Setúbal from Portugal, Hungarian University of Agriculture and Life Sciences from Hungary, University College Leuven Limburg from Belgium, Polytechnical University of Timișoara from Romania, University of Applied Sciences from Latvia, and a very large association, which is University Industry Innovation Network. What we have been doing and what were our plans, which we achieved more or less in the E.I.N.S project, is to look at how to bridge the gaps between the knowledge in the society, between universities more or less and everybody else. And this is also looking at how to provide different expertise and resources for our region. So all of these activities which we have done, probably open lectures being one of the most public ones, have been with this in mind. These open lectures, we haven't done only 7 out of them. They are basically questions and answers, activities and reflections in Menti. As I said, we will have this end quiz, and then at the end, you will be able to receive the open badges. We know that not everybody, you have not received yet the open badges from the previous E.I.N.S open lectures. We had a problem on the policy and the guidelines level, if we can release them and how, but we have reached an agreement last week. And now this week we are in the process of receiving them. So hopefully by Monday, everybody will have an email in their own inbox with the open badge dedicated to the open lectures. This open lecture is more or less looking at the IoT in smart and sustainable cities. And here the major questions which we are asking are how we can build up a strategy for a smart and sustainable city, and how this can be influenced, in fact, by innovation and research, and what the role of the universities here. Also, we will be looking at how can living a smart life in this city be influenced, for example, by transport, by urban developments, and how different examples from Austria and Romania, also developed by students, can really spark new ideas, can really build up innovation, and probably try to do something else. We will look on how Internet of Things are really going to support this development of smart and sustainable cities. And for that, we are going to have with us several people, and I will kindly like to introduce now the whole speakers, if I can. And I will start with Dr. Alexandra Anderluch, which is coming from the Fachhochschule University of St. Pölten, and which is going to be, in fact, our first speaker. And she's coming from the university and from, just give me 1 second to be sure that I'm not missing up her title of the institute, is the senior researcher Karl Ritter from KEGA Institute for Integrated Mobility Research, and she's working in the Department of Rail Technology and Mobility. Welcome, Alexandra. And
Thank you very much.
We have Professor Radu Vasiu from the Polytechnica University of Timișoara. He is the director of the Digital Transformation Institute in the university, and also responsible for the E.I.N.S European University Alliance in our university. Welcome, Radu.
Hello, everybody. Glad to see you here.
And then we are welcoming Associated Professor Silviu Vert, also from the Polytechnica University of Timișoara, who is working quite a lot on the topics of open science, open data, and he's also very keen and interested on usability. But quite recently, he's been very much involved in the InnoHub, which is our innovation hub with students, where he's looking at the entrepreneurial side of the stories of our students. Welcome, Silviu.
Welcome to all. Hello.
Thank you very much for this. I will kindly ask all the speakers to look a bit in the camera. I really want to be able to capture a good screenshot as a general photo with all of you, which is proving more difficult than I was expecting to. Okay, job done. I have everybody's with eyes open. So in this moment, I will kindly invite Dr. Alexandra Anderluch to start speaking and discussing and sharing her examples about how smart and sustainable cities really can work out into Austria, and especially in St. Pölten. Alexandra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, very good, and we see very well your presentation. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So what I'm going to talk about today is about freight transport issues in a sustainable city. And one of the measures you can take is using other modes of transport, like, for example, emission-free cargo bikes in city logistics. And of course, there are several opportunities, but also challenges you have to deal with when thinking about using cargo bikes for freight transport in urban areas. So now the question is, yeah. So I will briefly talk about a bit or tackle a bit the topic of city logistics in general, then step over to cargo bikes, benefits, drawbacks. Then closely related to the use of cargo bikes in urban areas is the topic of micro depots. And then I will give you a few examples, especially from Austria, but also international ones. Well, yeah, why do we need city logistics? Why is it necessary to deal with this topic? Well, as you can see on these two pictures, or especially on the left one, we have to cope with a lot of congestion, especially in urban centers. And this problem is increasing because we have also a growing urbanization. So more and more people are going to live in urban areas, in cities. So we need to bring also the goods, or more and more goods, into city areas. But on the other hand side, we will also like to have a high quality of living in our cities. And of course, therefore, we would like to avoid congestion, avoid negative effects like noise and emissions. And this, of course, is also of importance due to our or the current problems with climate change. Well, and therefore city logistics is an important topic, and I have stated here 3 definitions of city logistics, also to show you a bit the involvement of the meaning of city logistics over time, because we can say city logistics, or the topic of city logistics, started more or less in the 1990s with first activities. And in 2001, Taniguchi and colleagues stated the first very prominent definition of city logistics, where they focused especially on optimizing logistics and transport activities with the support of advanced information system in urban areas. In 2008, then Theo Kreinig adapted this definition a bit to reducing the nuisances associated to freight transport in urban areas, while supporting economic and social development of the cities. So you see here already the topic also of society steps into the definition of city logistics. And a rather new definition by Rodrigue and Dablon from 2020 says city logistics deals with means over which freight distribution can occur and strategies that can improve its overall efficiency while mitigating several externalities such as congestion and emissions. And of course, everything is always related also to fulfill the customer demands. And of course, there are several trends in city logistics, like, for example, setting up multi-echelon networks. So not just doing all deliveries from the point of origin to the point of destinations in a direct way, but setting up several different levels of depots, distribution centers, whatever. Of course, the topic of dynamic delivery systems is of very high importance, setting up several pickup points, also the integration of freight and passenger transport. So not just have separated streams of freight movements and passenger movements, but to combine these two streams is of importance. And what I'm going to talk about today, emission-free vehicles. So the usage of emission-free vehicles, like, of course, the overall topic of e-mobility, but also other vehicles like cargo bikes. Well, cargo bikes, can we name them a new way of mobility? As when you look at these pictures here, you see there are, of course, several different types. You cannot just use it to transport goods in a commercial meaning, but you can also use it to transport your children or your pets or whatever. And of course, it's not just a cargo bike. You can also use a trailer to transport goods. But is it really new? And when we look back in history a bit, we see, okay, cargo bikes are not really new. They have been used decades ago a lot for transporting, for example, bakery goods, also, as you see here, to transport other bikes and so on. So it's not really new, but we have a bit forgotten about the benefits of using bikes and cargo bikes for transporting goods, especially in urban areas. And now we are more or less reinventing this. And nowadays there are several types of cargo bikes, and these are just a few. There are already much more because there are developed, more or less each month there is a new cargo bike producer and slightly other different types. But in general, we can say, okay, we have more or less normal bikes where we can load goods in the front. Then we have this front load cargo bikes, two-wheel cargo bikes with loading area in the front or in the back. Then we have cargo bikes with three wheels, again with the loading area in the front or in the back. There are also nowadays four-wheelers for very heavy goods. And of course, we can always add a trailer to the cargo bike. So you see, there are very different options of cargo bike types. And one of the main tasks is to find the appropriate type to the goods you have to deliver. When we step over, okay, what are the benefits of cargo bikes? The most prominent one, of course, it's emission-free and it's noiseless. So I think that's very obvious. What is also an important thing when we want to use cargo bike in freight transport, well, they are very flexible in the traffic because they are, we can say, hardly affected by congestion. One of the reasons is that we can use different infrastructure with cargo bikes. So we have bike lanes, we have a specific bike infrastructure, but there are also in several cities options that cargo bikes or bikes can use, for example, one-way streets in both directions. So they can shorten several trips and so on. It's rather easy to park. Of course, this is a bit dependent on the type of the cargo bike you choose. One important thing that I've heard a lot from companies is no driving license is necessary to drive a cargo bike. So it's sometimes easier to find drivers. And also very important is cargo bikes. When you come with a cargo bike delivering goods, you raise much more positive associations than if you come by a truck or a van. But of course, no benefits without challenges. Cargo bikes, as you can see also in this picture, okay, they have a limited capacity. You cannot transport with a cargo bike as much as with a truck, that's for sure. You have also a limited range. This depends a bit on if you have an electrically assisted cargo bike or just move it with human power. Of course, also the existing infrastructure for biking is of importance. If this is a very good infrastructure, then of course using cargo bikes is much more appropriate than if not. Yeah, your drivers, of course, your cyclists need the right attitude. So it doesn't work to say, okay, I have my truck drivers and now I tell them, okay, go by bike. That will not work. So you really need to have your cyclists really employed as cyclists. They, of course, need the appropriate equipment. So they need the appropriate cargo bikes and also equipment that protects them against cold, rain, and so on. And of course, you need to adapt the existing logistics processes, because in several cases, not all the goods can be transported by cargo bikes, because it doesn't make sense to the weight and the volume of the goods, or also to the distance you have to transport the goods. And so it might be necessary to separate the goods that can be transported by cargo bikes from the rest. So this is also an issue you have to keep in mind when thinking about using cargo bikes in your urban delivery processes. So when are cargo bikes really appropriate? We can in general say, if you have a high stop density, then cargo bikes might be appropriate. If you have a small amount of goods per stop, so that you have to deliver one parcel here and two parcels here, and then again one parcel here, then also cargo bikes might be appropriate. The delivery radius, you can say it's more or less 3 to 5 kilometers around the starting point from the cargo bikes. If this is also the radius where your deliveries have to take place, then cargo bikes might be appropriate. And of course, your product should not be too heavy and not too large. Although you see here on these pictures, there are also exceptions to these rules. But in general, we can say what is appropriate for being delivered by cargo bikes: parcels, parcel-sized goods like books, also food and such things. So this is very appropriate for doing the deliveries by cargo bikes. As I have already mentioned, we need to integrate cargo bikes in our logistics chains, because not everything can be done by cargo bikes. And we need to check before we integrate cargo bikes in our distribution chains. Okay, is it beneficial for us from an economic point of view, but also from an environmental point of view? There it is for sure more beneficial, but yeah, economy and money always plays a role when we talk about business. Of course, if it is economically beneficial, also depends a bit on the cost structure you have to face. As I've already mentioned, environmental benefits are for sure: no emissions, no noise, so that's clear. And of course, there are also social benefits, because they can contribute to reduce congestion. They are also safer than other modes of transport, so especially around schools, kindergartens, and such areas, cargo bikes can establish also really a social benefit. Yeah, and I've mentioned we cannot do everything with cargo bikes, or all the freight deliveries. So we need to bring our goods to the delivery areas, which are then supported by cargo bikes. So we need what we call micro depots. So places where we can bring the goods to by vans, could be E.I.N.S, whatever. And there we have at least a kind of intermediate storage or cross-docking, where the goods are then transshipped to the cargo bikes for the, as we call it, very last mile to the final customers. And these micro depots can be kind of mobile depots. They can be larger trailers or such things, or they can be fixed. So for example, the ground level of a building, whatever. And then there are also two types which we can differentiate. They can be owned by a company. So each and every company has its separate micro depots. Or they are we are calling this white label micro depots. So micro depots that are set up and can be used more or less by everyone. And of course, we need to find the appropriate location for such micro depots, especially if we talk about such fixed micro depots. It's clear they should be near the delivery area, of course, at ground level, because we have to do loading activities. they have to be not only accessible by the cargo bikes, but of course also by the conventional delivery vehicles used by the company, be it vans, be it trucks, whatever, because first of all, we need to bring the goods to the micro depot, and then we deliver the goods from the micro depot in the urban area. Therefore, we also need a bit of a loading area in front of the micro depot for these conventional delivery vehicles. Also, the micro depot needs a specific size depending on if you want to park the cargo bikes inside the area, if you need also additional rooms for the drivers, if we want to have a storage area where we can store the goods longer than just a few hours, for example, for 1 or 2 days or so on. If we want to also offer additional services, for example, bike repair, also have a pickup point for parcels and so on. And a very important thing that is often a bit neglected is the doors of such areas need to be broad enough to really be able to do these transshipment areas and also to bring in the cargo bikes if they are parked during the night inside the depot. Of course, there are several options how we can find appropriate locations. We have done there some projects for Vienna and checked, okay, where could be appropriate locations based on the population density of the specific districts and their affinity to e-commerce, to see, okay, where are appropriate locations. Then we brought this together with available space. So where are locations where we could establish such a micro hub? What about the costs of these places and so on? We also evaluated in a case study what could be the impact of such a micro hub and using cargo bikes for deliveries. Of course, if the delivery area is larger, then it might make sense to not only use cargo bikes, but also small electric vehicles. And for Vienna, we assessed the potential impact and saw, okay, we can more or less reduce the emissions caused by delivering parcels to this area by 26%. And we could also reduce the kilometers traveled by 21%. We also tested cargo bike usage in Innsbruck. That's a city in the western part of Austria, where we did a 4 weeks pilot in cooperation with a parcel delivery company, with DPD. There we used 3 cargo bikes and then evaluated the impact of these cargo bikes. And if we calculate this for the whole year, then it would mean that we could save 1.5 tons of CO2 emissions by using cargo bikes just in a small area in the city center of Innsbruck. So you see there is really a potential of reducing emissions caused by freight transport. Well, and now let's go to a few best practices. In Vienna, we have 2 very prominent companies that are delivering goods by cargo bike. So we have, for example, Rita Bringt's. So that's a restaurant and catering that's delivering all their goods in Vienna with cargo bikes. Heavy Pedals is, we can say it's one of the first cargo bike deliverers in Vienna. They really brought or made this acceptable vehicle for doing deliveries. Also in the western part of Austria, we have already cargo bike companies. We have already parcel deliverers like the Austrian Post, which are also testing cargo bikes for doing deliveries. The same holds, for example, for UPS in Munich or Hamburg. where they really have established a cargo bike delivery system for the whole central area of the cities. But of course, also on a international scale, there are several examples, like, for example, Sedify in Cambridge and London. As you can see here on the picture, of course, they are using lots of cargo bikes, but they also have small electric vehicles if there are larger goods to be delivered to support the cargo bikes. And a very prominent example is also Chita in San Sebastian in Spain. And you can see here as well, a combination of different vehicle types is very appropriate if you really want to establish emission-free and sustainable freight transport in urban areas. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. We have a question, and I will try to answer. Gosh, in fact, it's only saying that congratulations on what you have been doing, and that she's really enjoying what you have said. And we don't have neither in chat a question, more or less, as far as I know, which is quite interesting, to be honest, because I consider your topic to be very, very challenging and very interesting. And then in this case, I will have a Menti question for people to answer, so which is a very simple one. So let's hopefully they will be able to share these Menti questions with us, and then their ideas at least with this. Let me go on present mode with this Menti, and then it's going to be much more easier to share the screen. Okay, so hopefully everybody sees the Menti, and that you are able to take the code, and I will also put it in the chat now, so you know how to answer to this. Hold on a second, give me 1 single second, so I know I'm not putting the wrong one in the chat. You can go to Menti and put this code, and then I will go to the next question, so which is automatically the question which you will need to answer, more or less. Hopefully you are able to see the things and everything. Yes, you see people are already answering with the code, and hopefully we will get some questions, some opinions. I'm very curious to see if people consider that cargo bikes are appropriate means for good transport in very dense urban areas. You can use your mobile phone or anything to answer. We have at this moment over 70 people in this webinar, so I'm really looking forward for some more answers. We already have only 11, and I quite like that people say that they will use it. You can answer, as you've seen, probably several of them. Not only one. Obviously, it's easier if you say to one. And until then, Alexandra, I would like to comment a tiny bit to what we are doing and the activities which we are performing as universities to encourage this. How difficult it was to encourage companies, private companies, to really embrace this idea and try to use it?
When I started this research, that was in 2014, it was very, very difficult. So most of the companies and also other researchers said, oh, that's a topic that is of no interest. What are you dealing with? And during the years, so I would say from 2016, 2017 on, we have seen really also an increasing interest from companies, and now there are already companies asking us to support them in introducing cargo bikes in their delivery system. So it really it took time to convince them a bit, but now we have reached as a time and a situation where companies are really seeing, okay, we have to change some things. We have to rethink our distribution systems, especially in urban areas.
Yes, I think so. I think it's always good if you have some innovative companies which are really ready to embrace the research and innovation, and that's always the best case scenario. But it's not always happening. So hopefully, or sometimes this will happen. So in this situation, let's comment a tiny bit the results. If you can, please, I will really appreciate if you can do that. You see that vast majority say yes, it is useful, and yes, they will use it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, or for me, it's very good that there is no one who is thinking it's not useful. So
Yes.
that's definitely very promising. And yeah, I agree. I also think it's definitely a very useful thing. Of course, you need to consider the different circumstances. Also the climate you are in with your city, the topography of the city, and also other influencing factors. But it should definitely be something to be considered when a company wants to rethink the distribution system in urban areas. And this
Indeed.
is definitely something that supports this idea.
And this is definitely something for the future, if I can say that. So thank you very much, Alexandra. I will stop the Menti now, and we will move to the next speaker. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Professor Radu Vasiu, who is coming from the Polytechnic University of Timișoara. He is, as I said, the Director for Digital Transformation Institute and the person in charge with E.I.N.S University Alliance activities in our university. And he's very keen, and he's teaching Internet of Things. And he enjoys very much this topic. So Radu, you are ready to share your screen anytime you want.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction. I will start sharing my screen to go directly to the presentation, because I think time is quite running out. I will make it full screen, and I think you can see it correctly now. So I will try to speak a little. Okay, I will try to speak a little bit about Internet of Things in general and how it can be used in smart cities, and to try to share something from our experience, especially from the work we are doing with our students. Later on, Silvio will present something about the strategy of the city in this sense. So first of all, I think everybody is aware that Internet of Things is changing in many ways our life, because the paradigm of Internet was moving from Internet of people to Internet of Things, when not only peoples are connected, but also different objects which are able to be connected online are now connected and are sharing a lot of information and data. This became in the last years a huge business, and you can see here a small figure which is showing something about what is happening at this time, and which is average the level of the involvement of money in this industry, which comes to be even higher at a world scale, higher than the whole GDP of the European Union. But also I would like to draw attention about the risks which are coming together with that, which are mainly with something about privacy. We are losing some part of our privacy. We also have problems with cybersecurity, and many hackers are working quite a lot in using those applications in order to do different things which we certainly don't want to be done. Also, the term of definition of Internet of Things has evolved. Starting from a very simple definition, which is coming from Wikipedia, which is of course not an academic source of information, but it's a very useful one for the whole public. We went after that to the definition given in 2008, which was just describing the Internet of Things and as a lot of technologies and researches which are doing into the real world by using different physical objects. And now I think which is stated in 2020 is probably much more appropriate for what is coming now, because we also see the term of intelligent, because many times those objects are connected and are discussing between themselves without our interference, and sometimes they might give quite a lot of good information in order to take decisions. Anyway, for having a good application on the Internet of Things, we need three levels of let's say information and proper hardware, software solutions to be used. First of all, we need a lot of sensors, because this is how we collect the data in order to take some decisions. We need good connectivity, and connectivity means that a lot of information will be transferred in different parts. This is why it is seen that 6G, which is coming now, is probably the Internet of Things connection, which will increase quite a lot the use of Internet of Things in different applications all over the world. And then, of course, we need to address those applications, those data, to some processes and to some needs of the people which are using them. This is why we say that finally Internet of Things changed the paradigm from connectivity to everyone, to everybody, to different persons, to connectivity in any place, to everything. Everything meaning all sorts of equipment which are somehow with connectivity provided. You can see some more information on the links which I'm also sharing, but it is really understood that there are several areas where Internet of Things can provide applications. And these are going from home solutions, home consumer solution, to transport, to mobility, even what was presented by Alexandra a couple of minutes ago goes also in that direction. There, the huge area of application is in health, and probably this is something which will increase quite a lot in the future time. Then the infrastructure for buildings, which means smart homes and smart offices and so on, up to applications into industry where cities are becoming more intelligent, especially by using the part of Industry 4.0, which is coming with Internet of Things, and I will go a little later into a couple of more information about that. So anyway, this is a huge range of solutions, but all of them are somehow applicable in a city, and all those applications in a way are making a city or a region smarter and more sustainable than it is if they are applied. Because even, let's say, health applications are not simply seen as application where the people, the individuals are getting some more profit on it, but also the city is becoming smarter if the people is healthier. everybody in the city has better services in terms of health insurances. So having in mind those, let's say, brief general ideas, I will say that in a way or another, the Internet of Things will probably change, first of all, the economy of the city and of the area. And you can see here a statement where it is said that Internet of Things will transform companies and countries, opening up a new era of economic growth and competitiveness. This has been said around 2015, and you can see that the increase of the number of applications in Internet of Things was already going very high at that time. Now it is increasing even more, and all that became a reality because, as I said, also Industry 4.0 is here. But we are speaking about small industries and small economy, which we have in mind is mainly what people can do in order to make some transformation in the city. These creative industries and creative sectors are defined as, first of all, things which are, let's say, somehow related not only with direct economy, but with a great impact in economy. And if we speak about the industry of games, this is very huge, but also has some effects in education, because using gaming and game stories into education brings some more people inside and make them be a little more attractive and attracted by studies. Then architecture is certainly considered a creative sector, media and publishing, design and art. So in all those areas, you can find a lot of solutions which are bringing Internet of Things together, but they are not coming just alone. They are coming together with new technologies which are helping the Internet of Things to grow up. And let's speak just very, very briefly, mentioning a couple of them. Augmented virtual reality and mixed reality at this moment. This is a trend which is not only, let's say, very interesting for the part of arts, for the culture, but also for education and for training companies, especially in areas where it is difficult or dangerous to give some direct training. You can use virtual reality in order to provide that. Artificial intelligence is certainly an area which is under huge development and which is frightening people a little bit at this time. But properly used, artificial intelligence can be a very good asset on that. And I would say that probably in the future years, artificial intelligence and Internet of Things will go hand in hand in order to provide more and more valuable solutions for the humanity. Blockchain technologies are another technology which can be used because they can validate proper developments. And when we speak about blockchain, please don't consider only the idea of cryptocurrency and things like that, because it is certainly not this is the most important application of blockchain, but the application can go from validating a huge range of production line. You can track a product from the beginning up to the shelf in the store. You can track also the quality of goods, especially for food goods and so on. So there are huge applications which are going aside. Not speaking about education, where blockchain technology can be used in order to digitally validate competencies, validate different courses or specializations or even diplomas, so that they are directly available in a digital form and each one which is interesting can see them directly, where they have come, what they represent, and so on. Now I will try to share with you a couple of ideas which are coming from our students. Each year we are doing some projects with our students which are doing some Internet of Things application, and some of them are coming with some very interesting solutions which are providing hardware and software possibilities, and they are applied in a very specific area. I will just show you briefly a couple of the projects where I was able to find some photos to illustrate them, but I want just to show you that there is a huge range of very diverse applications which can be done by the student. So first of all, it's a solution for the automation of a radar system, again, putting together hardware and software. It is a weather station which has been developed by our students together with the interface and the graphics and the software which is there in order to be able to access it also from the mobile phone. So you can see in different areas which are the recordings of weather, from temperature to humidity and so on. And you can also track some changes in live time. Then a parking detection solution for the public parking lots, which has been demonstrated with a very nice model, a maquette, which has been done by the students, and where you can see a couple of information about how you detect a freeze place for parking your car and so on, avoiding probably what we see in different countries where this is implemented globally, but where the sensor is always on top. And if the car is quite short, you will see a green light instead of a red line telling that there is a car there. So this thing should be avoided, and they have been done, and they have been provided after that to the municipality in order to use them in different parking lots of the city. Many students, as well as many of us, are having good attitude towards pets, and they are interested in having a possibility to feed them when they are not at home. So pet food dispenser has been provided by some of our students. It is just a demo. You see that there are some improvisations here, but which can be easily be transformed into a good product to be on the market. Then something to register the visits in a building, because sometimes we need this sort of information, especially when we see that there are so many things happening all over the world, and we need public buildings to be somehow protected from intrusion of different people without having any information about them. Then identification of fingerprint, which huge application in different things, especially for different remote controls and so on. And I'm getting now to a project which became quite a big project, which has been developed by our student. It is, they called him Fountains in the Sea. From the title, probably you will not know what it is about, but Fountain in the Sea is a tool which combines in a way the history, the stories about some places, and you can learn some more information about history, culture, architecture of a place and so on. And they have been located their application in Timișoara, especially in connection with the Timișoara capital of culture. So they created some facade of the buildings in the center city. They printed them 3D, and I will show you now a short movie which will give you a little bit of information about what they have done. I'll try to stop the sound because this is, I already got to the second one, doesn't matter. So you will see that they made the huge historical part of the city, the center of the city, into 3D printing, and they also developed an application which is available on computer, and you can find it online on the web. So by clicking different parts, you can also see the building, but you can also find different information about the building. So the stories, the local stories are well connected, and you can locate also the information online. So I think I will skip the rest of the presentation of the movie, or to be too long, and I will just show you this is how it looks, the path. These are the buildings in black, which have been already printed 3D, and they have also some sensors in order to give information. This is the building of the rectorate of the university, and this is the team which just won a competition, and we are very glad about that. What about the future? In the future, we think the market for Internet of Things will grow up. The studies are saying that around 2027, the evolution will be like that. So quite, let's say, a clear increase of the number of product and of the number of applications. And of course, the part of the money involved in this business will grow up even more than that. As I said, Internet of Things and artificial intelligence are going hand in hand. And the typical example which is given for the future is the use of Industry 4.0 in smart economy, smart factories, and so on. And you can see a couple of information about that here. But I'm also liking to see what's happening, what are the predictions for the future. And you can see here, coming from IEEE, which is the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, the huge professional association, something about the trends, the technological trends for 2024. Grouped about the interest of the people, what they do want, because otherwise you can see also that there are things like open science, like training and different other things, but these are the trends which are seen. And according to some studies, it is provided that probably the higher will be artificial intelligence, then with about 65 sharing, and after that it's coming extended reality, it's coming cloud computing, 5G, I would say probably more or less 6G in fact, and electrical vehicles. And overall, there are some informations about being the main sectors to be looked for the next year. So thank you very much for your attention, and if there are some questions I would like to be able to answer. I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much for this, Radu. It's been very, very useful. And I think we had quite a lot of information, and I love that you showcase the students project, which is always very interesting, and that so many of them are so novelty and so informative. We don't really have a question, so I will move to the Menti, and then where we have a question for everybody, to whom some of you have already started answering. So in your opinion, which do you think to be the top technologies for 2024? That's the main question. And while we will answer to this question, I'm curious to see, Radu, What do you think is going to be the most interesting bit for the students, obviously, with reference to a smart and sustainable city and IoT, or one of them at least, to develop in the future? Would they like to build up new companies? Would they like to be involved in the community? Or is it just a dream and it's just a hobby for them?
Well, a couple of years ago, probably I would say that it is a dream for having them involved in the community, because all of them were looking more or less to work in multinational companies to have the security of the working place and so on. Now the situation has changed. The companies are needing much more engineers than we are able to provide. And the best students probably are looking for establishing their own businesses or doing things which are much more connected with what they like to do, what is their, let's say, preferred field and so on. So I would say that probably, from my point of view, probably most of them will go into a combination of artificial intelligence and internet intelligence and Internet of Things. But also from the point of view of our students, especially probably because it is something specific, because we are involved in a couple of European projects which are trying to change the way we are seeing accreditation and validation of education. They are also becoming more and more interested in blockchain. And I'm glad to see that there are people which are also realizing that. I'm a little bit surprised about the fact that augmented reality is going quite low, but probably it's because of the, let's say, combination of areas which are provided here. So it's difficult probably to get higher in a competition with artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. But augmented reality is also something which a huge potential. I would say probably not necessarily augmented reality, but mixed reality for the future, because the companies are trying to move their trainings more and more into the virtual space, and they are using this sort of applications to do it.
Yes, I think it's quite interesting, and I think also these results more or less show the actual trend nowadays. We don't really have another question. Let me check. Do we have another question? Yes,
I think there is
we have a
something
question.
on Q&A.
Yes, it is something on Q&A from Gabriel Muraviev. I will ask the question so everybody can also have it recorded. And until then, Radu, please try to think of a response. About IoT, a human cannot connect directly to the internet, but by through a device. So semantically, the connection was between devices since the start. If we are referring to the control of the device connected to the internet by human, instead, and now with the trend of devices connected by phone, their own to the internet, I'm not that sure, I think their own phones to the internet, we are not actually talking about artificial intelligence. So I think the question is more or less about the control of the device, and if the mobile phones can connect alone to the internet or to do the things as Internet of Things.
Yes, I think it's an interesting question, and in many ways a tricky one, because let's say the future paradigms are changing now. And as long as we discussed, let's say up to about 1 or 2 years ago, when we spoke about Internet of Things, we were speaking only about devices being connected between them directly, but only in order to connect and to transmit some data. The decision was not at that moment done by machines. It was still done by humans. But now we are going more and more towards complex artificial intelligence algorithms, which are able to provide directly solutions, and maybe even to transform an application from what has been done at the beginning into something else by making use of the data. And the information, the number of data which is available now with all those applications on Internet of Things is something huge. They even changed the measures of that. So we are not talking about megabytes. This is something very, very, very small. We are talking about brontobytes and so on. Even those years, they are introduced a lot of new measures for that. So it is something which we cannot provide, which is going to be the end. And probably the connection between artificial intelligence and Internet of Things will be probably the most powerful one and the most scaring one in many ways, because having access to so many data, it depends how they can be used.
Thank you very much. I think it's been very useful and quite a good one. And it's another question there. Do you foresee imminent problems related to AI? Are these problems surpassed by the solutions AI will provide?
Well, everybody is concerned about problems with AI. And we can also see that for what recently happened in the States with firing an executive officer and getting it back in 2 days after the workers have put some pressure on the dissidents and so on. And many people are saying that this is connected with let's say, very dangerous application which is underway. So nobody knows exactly what it is, but the problem will be to be able to give too much access to the algorithm in places where it is difficult. And I'm speaking especially about military applications, about nuclear applications, and so on, where any step which can be done wrongly might mean something terrific for the humanity.
Yes, I think you're correct. Thank you so much for this, and thank you for your talk and for your time. And we are moving now to the next speaker. So I'm inviting, in this case, Associate Professor E.I.N.S, who is going to speak about how to build up a strategy for a smart and sustainable city, and it's the case of Timișoara. We are very sorry for everybody. We're running a tiny bit late, so that's the case all the time with these open lectures. We always have interesting speakers. So Silviu, the floor is yours.
Hello, Diana. Hello to all. Thank you for the invitation. So in this case, I will try to be quick. Let me share the presentation. Can you see it? Is everything okay?
Yes, that's fine. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. I skipped the usual first slide with my name and the title of the talk. I will go very practically, I hope, directly to the Smart City and Digital Transformation Strategy for Timișoara 2022-2027. It was initiated by the City Hall and created together with a group of experts and specialists and citizens, including our university. It was created research starting from 2 years ago. It was approved in the City Council 1 year ago, and now it's in implementation. It is based on a very scientific, sound methodology based on smart city concepts, based on the documents from the European Commission, smart specialization strategies, open innovation tools, and so on. But what I want to say is that it was a very collaborative work all the way. What we did was we went directly to the definition of Smart Cities 3.0, which is the smart city co-created by the citizens, and it refers to the city for all of us, because the let's say earlier versions of smart city, everything was, or almost everything was, about technology, and we learned something from that technology is just an enabler, it's not the most important thing. And now we are thinking of smart city as it is around the citizens. You can see at the bottom of the slides that the 6 dimensions of smart city contain some of the topics of our webinar today. For example, mobility and economy, and of course, people. The SMART strategy is a very long document. I'm only going to show you some bits here and there, which are very related to the topics of today's webinar. A lot of citizens were asked, were surveyed about the dysfunctions that they perceive in the city. And you can see that they didn't blame it directly, for example, on the mobility or innovation factors or their lack of. But we see here some interesting words and phrases such as daily stress, unnecessary consumption of time and resources, reduced public investments, insufficient interconnection. And of course, these are also related to our discussion today about mobility, about IoT, about innovation, and so on. What this strategy wants to address, among others, is, for example, the main points digitalization process and the interconnected urban infrastructure and mobility. What were the issues that respondents and the specialists complained about in Timișoara regarding, for example, just mobility? Incoherent road infrastructure, lack of a mobility strategy, low efficiency of traffic monitoring, lack of smart parking, lack of mobility for disabled people, reduced metropolitan connectiveness, and so on. Our vision for Timișoara 2027 is an European location of choice for human resources engaged in developing innovative products. So you can see that the vision is all about the people, is about what they do, what they create, is about the innovation. So layers such as mobility or technology and IoT are just things that are enablers for people to have a better life in a better city. This strategy was organized in 7 ambitions that you can see on the screen. They are properly called ambitions because we are very keen on achieving these things, but we'll have to be able to implement concrete projects to be able to go there. And I'm only going to speak about a vibrant innovation ecosystem and public investments with biggest impact. So I'm going to go into more details for only 2 of these ambitions. The first one is vibrant innovation ecosystem, our 3rd ambition. And you can see that this is directly linked to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, which is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. The main point is that we have a lot of stakeholders, important stakeholders in the city, such as universities, research and development institutes, a lot of corporations, also startups, but they are barely collaborating, talking to each other and doing things together for the benefit of the city. We looked at some of the information, some of the data from the city. We see some areas where we are doing very well, like, for example, number of labs within universities, more than 1,000 high-performance computing infrastructure in the main 2 universities of the city. We see that we have a lot of enterprises formed in the city, but on the other hand, there are very few incubators, accelerators, business angels funds, VC funds, and so on. So regarding in the area of entrepreneurship, we have a lot of things to be able to do it better. Now, I'm going to give you some examples of the strategic projects that this very large group was involved in creating the strategy proposed. So, for example, we foresee a Timișoara Living Lab, so a city innovation center that can generate new ideas and pilot and test them in the city. Also, we want to look for abandoned spaces in the city that we can temporarily use to support entrepreneurs, which of course always at the beginning have a lack of proper funding. We want to ensure that we have the ecosystem for the full innovation cycle, from research and development to market validation. We would like to have an innovation district, like a neighborhood, where we want international investors, specialists, and technology companies to be located. We want the city hall to have a representative to put all the stakeholders in contact. We want to organize an annual, let's say, Smart City Strategic Projects Fair, where we can showcase everything that we've done. I want to be able to offer the newcomers in the city an information package about what they can do here. We want to be able to create knowledge transfer between all the tech companies from Timișoara. And we want to be able to create a lot of partnerships of innovation between local authorities, universities, companies, and so on this smart city team. The other ambition that I would like to talk to you about is called Smart and Impactful Public Investments, but it's basically about mobility. It's directly linked to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, which is sustainable cities and communities. And the idea here is that even though we are a very busy city from the point of view of traffic, even though the congestion index improved a little bit in the recent years, we have a lot of problems of accessibility and communication of neighborhoods with the city center. We looked at some of the figures, some of the data. We have a lot of internet connections at home. So we have a lot of passengers creating this traffic in the city. We have 88 kilometers of bicycle path. I think some newer ones were created in this last year. We have an increasing number of charging stations for electric vehicles and so on. But we can do better. These are some strategic projects that we can do in the mobility field. We can work on the ultra connectivity, ultra broadband IoT areas. We have 5G, very good 5G in the main parts of the city, but we have to invest more in the IoT infrastructure. We want to create Timișoara digital twin, which is actually a digital city platform, which is a twin of what exists physically in the city. We would like to create an urban mobility center to be able to develop, measure, and coordinate everything that happens regarding mobility in the city. We want to be able to come up with new ideas and prototype some new means of transport, for example, like e-car sharing, e-bike sharing. We found out today from Alexandra about cargo bikes, very interesting, and so on. other ideas, for example, hydrogen-based metropolitan transport. That would be really interesting to see in the near future. In Timișoara, we want to have digital inclusive urban mobility. We want to have a very good application where you can see how fast the tram or the other means of transport is coming, and you can take it as close as possible to you. And the idea is that we want to create a Timișoara, let's say, a platform called Mobility as a Service, so to be able to group all these mobility services in a common portal. We also thought a little bit about the process that we need to go through to implement all of this. So we have to do a lot of institutional capacity building, this portfolio, put the strategic projects in a portfolio, create transparency and traceability towards everything that is implemented, of course, monitor, evaluate, update. And as we did with this strategy, we want to work very collaboratively through a lot of workshops, a lot of online consultation, communication with the stakeholders, and everything. To be very honest, the implementation phase of this strategy was a little bit postponed because almost all of the people and the energies in this city were directed this year to the project Timișoara 2023 European Capital of Culture. But we hope to be able to start putting everything in practice starting with next year. Thank you very much. And I will be taking questions, I think, now.
Yes, thank you so much for this. This was really very, very interesting. I need to say also for myself, very interesting. And at this moment, we have a Menti. We don't really have questions yet, so hopefully they will come. But let's share first the Menti and see what people are answering to our question. What strategic project related to our topics would you like to see implemented in your city? And we have smart traffic lights, smart city in road infrastructure, cargo bicycles, and somebody says what you mentioned, it's not really your project, it's the city project, but that's good. Cargo bikes again, extended balloting, a subway in another city, in Iași. I'm very glad that we have people from all over the country and also from abroad. I would like that all that I listened here can be implemented. Hopefully, that's it. At least one of those to be seen implemented. Bikes, obviously, quite a lot. And IoT, 5G, healthcare, clear bagger, mobility services, electric cars, the bikes one, car sharing with electric vehicles. If you want to comment any of them, Silvio, please feel free.
I'm very, very glad that a lot of people mention, for example, bicycles. So it's not about technology. It's not about something very fancy here. It's just the usual and simple things, and this makes me very happy. I would comment on the fact that if you were attentive to the presentation, you could notice that there was nothing related to artificial intelligence because it was not that trendy a year, 2 years ago. But a lot of artificial intelligence will probably be need to be used as an enabler for everything that we talked about. And of course, I can see that our participants, all of them feel the need of some kind of improvement in the mobility sector of their city. So it's clearly an important topic.
Yes, I think it's quite clearly, and you have a question in the Q&A again about from Gabriel Moravia. He's saying about what is the strategy within the program to absorb or transform the reverse reactions to all these positive ambitions knowing that any action, even positive ones, provokes an opposite reaction, which we know it's quite proven in the change management or the transformation management structure. For example, people who's connected more with the nature than technology may oppose, or elderly may prefer to connect to more traditional means than not being able to access more advanced specs for younger people. Silvio?
Yes, very interesting question. And I'm trying to remember a little bit from the other ambitions. And I'm quite sure that there were a lot of aspects in the other ambitions that we were not able to go through today that are related to the city for all. So we all know that the ones that are here, we want a lot of technology, we want a lot of trendy things. But in this strategy, we also thought of elderly people or people without too many technology abilities and so on. So that's why, for example, one of the strategic projects is Smart City Ambassadors, which is, for example, citizens, but mainly youngsters, that can act as facilitators for elderly or disabled people or people who are not so, don't have so many technical abilities, to be able to explain them how all the trendy and interesting and new stuff in the city will happen, to give them direction, to give them information. And we thought of having these offices where people can go physically and ask about things that can be to request information about the city, and to not have only the application that is available for this. So yeah, we thought of this as well.
Yes, I think these are quite good questions. Now I will try to go also with the other speakers live, if you can, please, because we are moving now to the quiz. So I will try to launch now the quiz. Please, all of you who are online, you have 4 questions. Please answer to all of them. They have multiple choice questions. So please do that, and please try to answer to the questions for those who are participating now here. So we can clearly set up the questions and see how you have been listening to us or not. So I just want to be sure that everybody is able to answer the poll. I think it is live, but nobody yet has answered to them. If people have a problem seeing the poll, the quizzes, oh, we have answered. So that means that you are able to see it. Please write in the chat. So we have, and as I said, again, you don't see it. If you are on a mobile phone, then you will need to see if it's not coming on a different screen. So you have 4 questions for which we are answering. And until then, let's try to discuss a tiny bit more. We have seen very different presentations in the area of smart city, from students' ideas, IoT principles, to research which was applied in the city, and to building up a strategy which is putting people at the center. So I will try to ask, and anybody from the presenters, from the panelists can answer, is do you consider that for building a smart and sustainable city, the education or the university or the education sector can play a big role? And if yes, which can be that one? If anybody can answer or say something, you're welcome.
I would say that is quite an easy question, because I think education is at the center on any sort of development. And I don't want to go to the jokes about the education which is giving the state of development even of the political people. But it's certainly for the developments which are somehow linked to technology, linked to ideas, and connected to different strategic goals, certainly educated people would be able to do quite a lot of things. But they need to learn, first of all, to work collaboratively, because many times we are starting working by our own in our separate aisle, and we don't discuss too much between us. And most of the questions which need a solution, it is about very different and things which are asking for information from different areas, different domains, which only can come from brainstorming and from working together.
Yes, indeed. I think I agree. Alexandra, Silvia, if you have something to say.
Sorry, I haven't understood your.
What do you think is the most important part which education can play, or universities can play, for building up a smart and sustainable city?
Well, I think without really well-educated people, it will not work to really achieve this transformation to smart and sustainable cities, and also smart and sustainable regions. And I think both is of importance, not only cities. We should not forget about also the more rural areas and the regions. And we need well-educated people for that, and therefore education is the most important thing, I would say.
Indeed.
I would add that we need the ideas of young people, of students, those crazy and funky ideas, to be able to create something new, to not continue the status quo. And we can use the tools of living labs, which we already have done, to be able to prototype these ideas.
Indeed. I will keep the poll open for another 1 minute, and then I will close it. And this is the quiz, which hopefully quite a lot of people will be able to answer, because this is part of the open lecture process for awarding the open badges. And I would like to thank very much Alexandra Anderlu from Fachhochschule St. Pölten from Austria, Professor Radu Vasiu from Polytechnic University of Timișoara, and Silviu Berg from the same university in Timișoara, Romania, for this open lecture, which was organized as part of the E.I.N.S, European University Alliance, and the project E.I.N.S, which is a project dedicated to research and how, in fact, to bring research and knowledge more closely to our region and to our students and to our external stakeholders, I would call it, so the people and the general public abroad. I put into the chat a link to the eins.eudres.eu website, where you will be able to find later on the recording of this webinar, and you can find also the previous open lectures. I just want to be able to say that you can also follow us for the next week, in 2 weeks from now, main activity or something like that. We are going to organize, also in conjunction with the E.I.N.S, another digital skills workshop, which is organized by our university and the Polytechnic University of Timișoara for this number 8 in row. I will put here the link to this into the chat. So please follow us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on any form, and also look at our newsletters. So you will be able to find some more information on how to join our future activity. The next one, as I said, is going to be on the 8th of December for the workshop dedicated to digital skills for creative and culture industries. Thank you very much, Alexandra, Radu, and Silvio. It's been really a pleasure to listen to your presentations. And thank you, everybody, and have a good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.